I here to say? I'm here to tell you that there's still hope, provided we all sit down and do the right thing. Before the investors that took over those assets signed agreements with the federal government, they were made to believe certain things. One of the things they were made to believe was that the Nigerian government would give them 6,000 megawatts of power to distribute. Secondly, the Nigerian government, knowing that it will be a very difficult terrain to bear into, promised to pay 5 billion naira, of 50 billion naira per year to sink it into that industry, so as to augment the shortfalls the investments or the investors will accumulate. The federal government didn't meet the side of the bargain. They never paid the 50 billion. They were supposed to pay 50 billion year 1, 50 billion year 2, 50 billion year 3, so that those investors will make huge losses. They were supposed to guarantee 6,000, minimum of 6,000 megawatts. The reason why this narrative is important is for us to know where we are and why these discos and gencos and transmission companies have not functioned well. If you promise me, I'm a businessman and I like to simplify things. If you give me a piece of land and if you give me a piece of land, you're supposed to give me 1,000 square meters and you give me 50 square meters and you expect me to put infrastructure for 1,000 square meters. I won't do that. I will first plan for the ones you've given me. So what I'm trying to say is that the government didn't give the discos of the gencos the 6,000 megawatts they promised. They gave them the smaller, they made available a smaller amount of megawatts, which is about 2,000. So you don't expect them to go and borrow money to plan for 6,000 that they never got. So that alone, it reduced the capex was geared towards what they can readily plan for. That's one issue. And I'm going to repeat myself again. I said we had 32 million households in Nigeria. Only 4 million are metered. So what the discos will do is just plan for the 4 million they have. And more so, if you gave them 6,000 megawatts, you promised them 6,000 megawatts, you only gave them 2,000. They cannot plan for more than the megawatts they have if you don't provide them with power. So that is what has happened. A lot of these discos don't have incentive to invest in metering in the areas they know they will not get power to distribute. So it's a number one rule of business. I won't plan for what I know I won't get. I will only plan and inject my money in what I know will give me immediate cash. That's one of the issues that I'm trying to say. Government failure has contributed to Nigerians not having adequate power supply. Furthermore, it will interest you to know that the Central Bank of Nigeria, who we know as the lender of last resort, and the banker's banker, when the discos present viability and feasibility reports to them for funding, the CBN will come back and say your tariff is not cost reflective enough. With this tariff you are charging, you can never ever pay us back. So if the CBN says that to the discos and gencos, no commercial bank will borrow them money as well. If the Central Bank of Nigeria says your tariff is not cost reflective enough. Furthermore, even with the 2,000 or 3,000 megawatts that we're generating, the vandals, there's a lot of vandalization because a lot of our power plants are powered by the feedstock is gas. So a lot of these vandals will go there and disrupt and burst pipes and coal. It will also affect us in general. So I'm also blaming Nigerians for not being vigilant enough to guard their security assets. There's a Yoruba saying that says, So So the vandals, they vandalize on a daily basis, and we Nigerians just sleep and not do anything. You know, so I'm going to blame ourselves as well, because if they know that the community where those pipelines are located are critical infrastructure, we should not allow them have the free will to go in there and vandalize. Most times, the vandals know the community, they go and settle, and we accept those type of monies from them. We don't know that we're doing a great disservice to our fatherland. Now, what do I think is the solution? I was listening to the second stanza of that anthem, and he talked about being truthful and that the Lord should guide our leaders right. You know, and I believe that the silver bullet to say now is the tariff increase. To allow or to permit the tariff hike that the discos and the gencos asked for. Reason being that if I'm going to go to the bank to borrow money, the bank will do an analysis. These are businessmen, they are investors. Everybody, everybody will want to invest and get a reasonable return on investment back on their investment. So I believe that the tariff hike is what they've asked for, and I believe that they deserve it, because if you look at the way Nigeria is going, you will find out that the exchange rate has shot up. When they signed the agreement 3 years ago, the exchange rate was 165. And the critical components for the energy industry are sourced from abroad. That's one. Two is that the cost of transmission was recently hiked again. That is carrying the generated power and bringing it and distributing it. It was recently hiked by TCN, that is Transmission Company of Nigeria. By the way, the Transmission Company of Nigeria is owned by Nigeria. It wasn't privatized. It's been managed by a company called Manitoba. So there's a technical agreement between Nigeria. So the Nigerian government has hiked the cost of transmission. Again, the Nigerian government has hiked the cost of gas from $1.25 to about $2.50. And we Nigerians expect the discos and the gencos to absorb those costs. If you put yourselves in their shoes, nobody would absorb. This little devaluation that has happened, a lot of us here, Mr. Bandere, I'm sure, would have hiked his legal fees as well.
Yes,
added in some things. You know, so I believe that we should think as businessmen. We should also understand that these assets that were privatized were bought by businessmen. You know, it is no longer a freebie or a social service. A lot of Nigerians as well don't pay for their bills. They don't like to pay. I've had series of, I've seen it online severally that when they start sending bills, some people have been tapping current, tapping lights, they've been doing all sorts of things. Knowing if you break into the system and you tap the light, it affects other people. The repercussion is greater. You know, so these are the type of thing that is happening in the industry, and I believe that NEC, in introducing that new tariff, also have some consumer protection mechanism in place. For instance, the new tariff has different types of classes. There's R1, there's commercial, there's industry. The R1 class, there's no increase, but a lot of people don't know, and I don't know why NEC hasn't informed Nigeria. There's no increase at all in the R1. The R1 class is people who have one-phase meter. For the R2 class, if you do a percentage comparison between all the discos, you will find out that the maximum increase is 20%. The maximum is 20%. And I don't know why NEC and their affiliated authorities have not come out to explain all this to Nigerians. Because what I hear all the time is that there is 50%, 60% increase or 40%. Yes, in some areas there are 40% increases, but those increases affect majorly industries who won't complain, because if there's steady flow of light, like this hotel here now, I'm talking to you, sir. I'm saying that if they bill you at 40% increase and you have to pack up your generator and this, you don't mind. So a lot of those businesses don't mind. I think the people making the biggest noise are the NLC, who need to be better informed of the prevalent situation, because if you are ignorant of issues, you will confuse your followers. I also believe that the job of government is to ensure that the security and welfare of the people are better protected. At the same time, they should allow commerce thrive. So I believe government can come in, let the disclose GEMCOs make as much money as possible, because if they invest, Nigerians will become more prosperous. But they should, because the federal government controls most of the factors of production. For instance, they control the gas prices, they own the gas, they own TCN. If you are increasing charges on TCN and on the price of gas, they shouldn't expect the discos to charge a lower tariff. They should allow them to improve tariff. So government can come in the way of subsidies or absorbing. If government absorbs the cost of gas or transmission company, the tariff won't be as high as everyone is shouting. Then again, the good thing is that this tariff is a 10-year tariff. It goes up in the first 2-3 years and comes down subsequently. So it is agreed. There's a 10-year tariff that has been approved for Nigeria for 10 years. You know, so, and you can see the scale. I don't know why NEC and the other affiliates, they're not publishing this. So for year 2, if you pay 24 naira, year 3, you might pay 24 naira, year 4, it goes down maybe to 22 or 21. So these are documents that are bankable, that you can take to the bank. The bank will advance you facilities. The benefits of the increase, like I said, is the 2015 Mantua tariff reduces or removes the fixed charge. So we no longer pay any fixed charge. If you dispute your bill, if you estimated a bill, if you dispute it, you're allowed not to pay it, but pay the old rate that you accepted. So those are innovative things that will keep the. Now the implication of removing fixed charge is that the discos, it gives the discos, when during the regime of the fixed charges, whether there's light or no light, you get charged. But nowadays, with the advent of the removal, the discos are there's like an incentive to work harder, because they don't get that free funds that they were used to in the past. So now they are more aggressive in rolling out the metering thing. Also, there's a contradiction. There's an amount that a disco is allowed to spend yearly. I think it's about 4 billion naira. So if you divide 4 billion naira that with, let's suppose, which it includes the capital cost and running cost, the 4 billion. So let's just agree that, okay, it's 4 billion per annum. If you divide 4 billion by the cost of meter, which is about 35 million naira, that amount doesn't enable them to meter everybody at the same time. There's still going to be a huge shortfall. So what next is they should meter everybody within a year. So I believe that the 4 billion that the discos are allowed to spend per year is not sufficiently enough to make them meter all Nigeria, or every household in Nigeria, considering the fact that we have only 4 million metered and we have 32 million households. There's still a lot of work to be done. Another benefit of the MITO 2015 is that it allows you buy meters under the capital scheme. That is, you can buy it in credit and deduct your your money gradually. It also gives, if you've paid for a meter and they don't supply it within 2 months, you have the right not to pay for the 3rd month's bill. So it really puts them on their toes to perform. So in summary, I would say that the fact that we don't have light, I will put it on the doorstep of the federal government of Nigeria. I would also use a Yoruba program to say that so meaning that because government has been unfaithful, it gave the discos the opportunity to also duck and hide. I would also say that it's tough. We live in very interesting times. I believe that the discos and the gencos have asked for one thing. They've asked for an increase in tariff. And looking at the tariff increase, it's not as huge as people have been clamoring. And I mean, the NECMAN will come here and verify what I've said. So if we accept that, it means that there will be investment in the sector. If we don't accept it, it means that nobody will invest in this sector. And I always remember 4 years ago when the Jonathan administration stopped subsidy. Some of us knew that that was the right thing to do, but a lot of us politicized it as well. So 4 years down the line, we removed subsidy. We're saying privatize refineries now. About 8 years ago, Obasanjo sold those assets to Dangote. He sold it to the people that we know can finance the revitalization of those refineries. We all said no. They reversed it. We're back to square one. Lastly, I remember when Awolowo during his time, he was sending the Agbekoyas, he was forcing their kids to go to school. A lot of them said no. They hated Awolowo. But today, after a while, they saw that lawyers came from those forced to go to school. Lawyers came, doctors came. So they started taking their kids to Awolowo. Please take my kid. Now we know that education is the way to go. So we have a good opportunity to allow the discos enjoy or have their way with this tariff. Well, our responsibility is to make sure that they keep investing, considering the fact that the shortfall we have is very huge. And also considering the fact that the production sector in Nigeria is not doing as good as it should be. So I believe that the hike would endanger or will be a catalyst for Nigeria taking its eminent place in the Committee of Nations. I thank you all.
I think we should still enjoy it. Let's leave it running.
I want to say a very special thank you for our resource person. The presentation is quite deep and eye-opening too. He should be on his way to a function any minute from now, but I think we should just engage him in terms of questions. Like our system, we reserve the comment. Let's take question, clarification of issues that are not so clear, so that I can also help our verbatim reports too. Okay, so if you have a question, Chief, we are not supposed to.
Sorry, guys. So we are supposed to take. And you should not ambush the mic.
Not yet.
I will
You should not ambush the mic.
Okay now.
Good morning.
My question is on security modernization aspect that you discussed. As much as I believe as Nigerians we are also here to protect what it has, I also feel we have security agents that are saddled with the responsibility of securing not only the property but the people. Now, of what intelligence and security put in place? Now, when you know this has become a recurring issue, then you need to devise and improve on your strategy. to match the criminals, and what as the security or what are the security things to put in place. And I also feel maybe by suggestion that what about community? I mean, those in those areas, what those the men and whatever you have, how can they be empowered? Because obviously you said the vandalizer will go to the community, they give them certain things and they feel happy. What about the investors? What about the government? Can they also do something similar to empower some people, engage them? If you don't call them community police and whatever, to protect some of those things.
I'm going to answer your question with what one of my professors always described as 3 eyes. 3 eyes. He says that there's a difference between the developed countries and the developing countries, the 3 eyes. Most countries have the first 2 eyes. Now, it's only developed countries who have the third eye. The first eye, I call it instruments, which is the constitution, like the Bible that the country is wrong. The second eye, I call institutions. So, for instance, the Nigerian constitution has everything that the US constitution has. It has a legislature, it has the executive, it has the CBN, naming all these institutions that are in the US, we have in Nigeria. The third eye are individuals. A good economy, a developed country has the individuals that can run that system well. So they have a sense of purpose, they have a sense of responsibility, they know what critical assets are, they know what they should do and what they shouldn't do. So in our parts, we're struggling with the last eye. So in a community, a vandal comes, gives you money and damages your gas pipeline. It's a failure of the individual for them to accept. It sounds funny or ludicrous for the community to accept money from a vandal to gain access to vandalize the pipeline. The pipeline now benefits the greatest number. So I also believe it's a failure of the family institution or the individual. So the answer to that question is for you and I, the individual, to rise up and know what is good or what is bad. I won't blame it on the security agents or I believe the individual, the family unit must be more strengthened, so that those kind of perpetrators, those kind of vandals don't have access or time to do such things anymore.
Thank you so much for your brilliant presentation. But I'm just a business person and I always look at figures on how to match up. You've said that there are 32 million households in the country and we have 4 million that are meter.